Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well this morning. Thursday, we're heading into the end of the year. Understanding volume is extremely light in the market. With that said, it's just like the way I treat people. I like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. When I meet someone, they're good until they screw up. They're on the high end of the totem pole until they disappoint me, then they go down. The same is true for the market. When I see the market is being overbought, I like to give the benefit of the doubt to the other side. Same when I see the market is oversold, in my opinion, I like to give the benefit to the other side. So that for me has it's not the best strategy to have. It's better to go with momentum. So again, it's almost like I feel bad. Oh, the stocks shouldn't be this oversold or they shouldn't be this overbought. So I kind of give a little more leeway to certain positions. With that said, I'll mention my position yesterday. I got into some Carnival calls because I saw some early morning activity, pre-market activity. Carnival's been beat up. It had inflow for a few days. However, with the market going down to a lower level yesterday on the SPY, 383 to 380, mentioned at the time it could go down to 377. We touched 377, hung around there, and then we closed at 376.66. Carnival's down 4 cents from where I purchased my options. However, I still believe that the market will stabilize. Why? Because there are institutions and big money taking positions. So as you see some of these major stocks go down, understand some institutions are taking positions. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let me just share the Discord link right now. And that was the dark pool levels. Okay, so top flow, here we go. Top flow, hopefully you guys can see that with me. You can, perfect. Top flow bullish, Apple, Tesla, Qualcomm. On the reverse side, you've got the SPY, which again, everybody keeps piling onto the SPY. Microsoft is up there. You got the Qs up there, Amazon, Google. So all the major tech players. You got an AMD and a Meta there. So again, I'm going to be focusing on tech today. Once I see tech stabilize, that would tell me the market could go higher. Tech could stabilize when we look at the various interest rates on the 10-year, the US dollar, and I will talk about the SPY in just 1 second. So I'm just going to check out oil first. Oil at 78, no surprise, nothing major. The 10-year, let's just see where the 10-year is at right now. 387, no change from yesterday. US dollar, let's see where the 2-year is. No change from yesterday. Again, as the US dollar spikes, as the 2-year spikes, as the 10-year spikes, the markets will have downward pressure. As these rates go down, if you see them go down during the day, the market could have some bullish pressure. So with that said, let's just open up right here. Here's dark pool levels for the SPY. Now, anybody that doesn't understand what dark pool is, it's like when you're selling a house, if you're selling it off market, nobody knows about it. It's a pocket listing. So only the seller and the potential buyers know about it. The same is true for dark pool levels. Dark pool levels, someone's looking to purchase a large increment of the SPY, someone's looking to sell a big position of the SPY, and there are dark pool levels for every single stock. So you could look it up for Apple, Amazon, even shittier stocks like DraftKings and Lucid. You could look up the dark pool levels, and that basically tells you when there's either a demand zone or a supply zone. So let's go over the dark pool levels for the SPY so we know what could potentially happen in the market. So I've got the dark pool levels up. Hopefully you guys can zoom in and see them. On the bottom side, you're seeing 376.68. Where did we close yesterday on the SPY? 377.66. So this is telling me this dark pool level on the bottom could act as support. Now, what might act as support or resistance? You look at the next level up. So the number's right here, $380.49. So that's either going to turn into resistance today. Should the SPY open up and pre-market, the SPY is sitting at 379. So we're right around that 380 level. So understand that 380 level and 50 cents is going to be key. When we hit a level like that, you can go plus or minus 20 cents. You're either going to see rejection. If you see rejection at 380, again, we're very close to that pre-market. If you see rejection at 380, then we're likely to go back down to the next level down, which I told you is 376.68, which is 2 cents from where we closed. So pressing 380, if we break the 380 and 50 cents, we can go higher. The next level higher on the SPY, and let's look together, is 384.30 with $21 billion worth of this ETF in the dark pool. So again, either demand or supply, but these are going to be your levels. I'll go over them. The first level that I'm going to mention isn't even on the chart. It's if we drop under yesterday's low, which is right around where we closed. Let's just see where yesterday's low was. Hopefully it's on here still. SPY, yesterday's low, 376.42. So that's your key number to look for today, 376.42. And yes, we're opening at 379 or close to it. But if the market goes down and we attack the same level that we closed at yesterday, you want to see if it breaks below 376.42. If it does, the next level down, meaning the market will continue to fall, if we breach that level to the downside, will be 373. So the fact that we're up 0.7% pre-market, if we get to where we closed at yesterday and we break below it, you could see 373. That is your bear case scenario. Now, me, as I started this live stream, I mentioned I like to give people benefits of the doubt. I like to give certain stocks and the market benefit of the doubts. I happen to think we're oversold. I happen to think that there are institutions, big money players that are buying up this market. Now, it's not a short-term investment. They're going 6, 9, 12, 18 months out, knowing that some of their positions will likely double and increase. So anyway, I'm impartial this morning. I'm probably a little more bullish than bearish, but that was the same case yesterday as we were opening up pre-market with a similar flow. Today's a little stronger, but again, if you look at the volume yesterday on the SPY, it was extremely light. So I'm paying close attention. Let's say the market does what it does at open. It spikes, it dips, it spikes, it dips. I'm looking at $380.50. If we break north of that, then I do believe we will see 384 today. So the fact that we closed at 376 yesterday, I think we could perhaps touch 384 today, which would be over a 2% increase. Understand, 2% used to be a big movement in the market. These days, it's not. A 3% movement up or down in the market, I think we saw 81 times this year. I think it might have been 77, somewhere between 77 and 81 times this year, which is ridiculous. If we only have maybe 230 or 240 trading days, you're talking about a third of the time. Now, let's remember the live stream from yesterday, right? Markets ended up getting beat up. Futures were bright. Tesla was up, went from minus 3% to plus 3%. And I said, if I had to make the wager of my life yesterday, I would wager that Tesla's definitely going to finish green. Even if the markets turn shitty, which they did, and understand there was no rebound. There was a 10 a.m. drop, a 10:30 drop, a slight rebound, and you thought, okay, maybe the markets will be strong. And then what happens? We drop to a lower point at each consecutive increment throughout the day. So again, Tesla finished strong. What is it telling me? Let's see where it is pre-market, probably up a few percent. It's up 5% pre-market. So you're talking about Tesla, which is 108 yesterday on the low side, closed at 112. So it actually went red at some point. I think it went to 108 and a quarter yesterday on the red side. But again, I was pretty sure Tesla was going to finish green. It finished green by 3.31%. This morning, it's up 5.15%. Understand, when Tesla finally turns around, let's assume the market stabilizes and it's more of like a little volatility. Nothing's going straight down. Nothing's going straight higher. Understand, when Tesla starts getting the inflow and demand, you're going to see a pop in Tesla from the 112 that we closed at, probably back to the 128 range. Tesla's forward PE currently is 28. I mentioned for the longest time, probably for the last 7 months, that the PE, the forward PE, which was 72, should be somewhere around sub 30, 30, 31. So something like that makes sense. If we're talking about 31 or 32 as a forward PE, then Tesla has the opportunity to go up another 6 or 7%. The fact that it's up 5% pre-market, I still think it has a little more room to run. Would I be chasing? No. Okay, the same is true Dow. The Dow was up for the fourth quarter 14%. Understand, technology like a Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, Google, been beaten up. But I'm looking at airlines, which have been extremely beaten up lately, cruise ships, which have been beaten up lately. I still like material plays. Wall Street took a turn on energy. Happened about, Thursday? Happened, I think, Tuesday afternoon. I heard about it for the first time, but I guess they started selling on Monday. So again, the downturn on energy is due to the possible recession coming. All right, let's get into some questions. Again, SPY ranges today, 373, 376.68, where we closed 380.50, which is your key number to watch as we sit pre-market. The SPY is sitting at, let's see where we're at right now, 379.84. So we're up 0.7% pre-market. Again, I'm thinking we're going about 50 cents higher. Let me just see if I can show you guys on the chart. Let me remove this, and then we'll get to some questions. If we have any, let me share the screen with you guys, and let's look at the SPY. Here we go, and let me make sure I add it to the stream. Okay, here we go. So let me just go on, and we'll talk about the range of the SPY. I have the 4-hour chart right now. Again, we're talking about 380. Let me just 380. Right about here is a key level. Understand it's a key level. There was a huge sell block here. We had downward pressure for 3 times, and then you're talking about this gap. This gap, which I said must get filled. Even when the SPY hit 410 here, 410 here, I was talking this gap is still going to get filled. Now, it got filled pretty quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4 days, okay? And then again, we gap down here. What's likely to happen is we'll likely fill this gap right here, which again tells me we could see the 384 number. If it's not today, it'll be tomorrow. I don't see the market dropping for the final 2 days of the holiday. I could definitely see some volatility. It also wouldn't surprise me if we finish green for the last 2 days of the year. Again, key level, it's going to be 384.50. If it happens to break 384.50, your next level up is 388, which is right under this level. So you can see this gap right here, the gap that we filled. So again, these levels are extremely important because understand, and I'll give you an example. If I'm in call options and we see the market that's up pre-market and the SPY is sitting at 379 and change, I'm still going to hold on to my calls. And if the SPY breaks 380, I'm still going to hold on to my calls. If I'm in calls, whatever stock it is, and we see rejection at 380 and the SPY goes down a little, and then we see rejection at 380, I'm going to say, okay, that is peaked out. That's where rejection is today. Let me unload my calls when we get to the top. And should the SPY retract, because just because it rejects, let's say 380, doesn't mean it's going to hang out right in the 380 area, 380, 379. When it rejects one number, 380.50, there's a good likelihood we go back down to 377. When we get back down to 377, if you still want to be bullish, that's when you re-enter. The same is true for puts. If you see it reject and you want to take puts at 380 and 50 and you say, that seems to be a supply zone, I'm going to play puts. Then it goes down. You want to sell. You don't want to ride the elevator and go back and forth. Then you want to wait for the market to go back up. All right. With that said, let's just see if we have any questions. I see, I think one right here. What are the numbers for unemployment? I don't know. The numbers came out at 8:30. That's when we start the live stream. Best thing to do is I generally follow Walter Bloomberg on Twitter. So let me just see if I can get you guys some employment numbers. Jobless claims are at the highest level since January. Now, what that could say is if jobless claims are going up, and let's just see what that is. The previous was 166. The actual was 171. So a little over 1 million. You can see the chart right here. Jobless claims going up. As jobless claims go up, that means the Fed could be less hawkish. That's what people think. So the jobless claims numbers rise to 225,000. That's what the estimate was, 225,000. Previous was 216 on that level. So it was right there. Just a side note, Disney, their movie Avatar, which I did not see, The Way of the Water, surpassed $1 billion in worldwide tickets. That's pretty strong for a movie that's not getting a lot of billing. So the U.S. requires people from China to show negative tests. So here's a quick fact. The people that come airplanes from China to Italy over 50% of the passengers that landed in the last month have brought COVID with them. They get tested off the plane, COVID positive. That's 50%. So other airlines, other countries are putting restrictions and limitations on Chinese travel to their country. All right, next one, please. All right, hey, Matt, Micron Technology, a good spot to go long. Don't trust the market right now. Okay, first off, it's good not to trust the market right now. Understand institutions are here to steal from you, fool you. They want you to think the market's going down. They'll push it higher. They want it to go higher. They'll push vice versa. So understand it's a great attitude to be skeptical no matter what your play is. Now, you mentioned Micron, which is extremely beat up. So we'll talk about chips real quick. Micron, NVIDIA, AMD. Let's remember a year and a half ago, we couldn't get enough chips. There weren't enough chips on the market. You needed chips for EVs. There were so many EV companies looking for chips. There's a chip in your microwave, a chip in your refrigerator, a chip in your radio, multiple chips, in your entertainment center. The fact is, we couldn't get enough chips. AMD, NVIDIA, Micron, all through the roof. STX, same thing. Since then, there is now an overabundance or an oversupply. There's no longer that demand. So as you can see, I'm just going to look at the chart for Micron specifically, but NVIDIA has been extremely beat up. Let's just look at Micron. I'll see what proper entry could be, because I think a proper entry is probably under 49. Yeah, it's under $49. Wow. Okay, yeah. It's a tough one. I would stay away from the chip sector right now. I mean, it's excellent that it could be on your radar, but if you're looking for a potential and opportunity, I would rather be in something like a well-run airline, like maybe a Delta or a United Airlines. That would be my next large position as far as a Dow play goes. Maybe a casino like Las Vegas Sands or MGM or Wynn, maybe Boeing. As far as Micron or AMD or NVIDIA, let me just take a look at the leaders, because you always look at the leaders. So the leader would be NVIDIA. So let's just take a quick look at NVIDIA. Again, NVIDIA is seeing inflow, but on days of outflow, it's pretty stronger. We were 180, we're down to 140. We could basically stabilize around 138, which was the low from yesterday. So yeah, I mean, if I look at NVIDIA, I would rather put you there or suggest NVIDIA as opposed to a Micron. I would rather suggest an AMD as opposed to a Micron. I like to go with the number one or number two players in whatever category that is. Okay, could Google and Amazon go up 50% next year? All right, well, let's take a step back right now. There are some professors, one at Harvard, one at Princeton. I read one report this morning that actually believes stocks are going to pop 15 to 25% in the first half of next year. So what's crazy about this market is it used to take more time for things to occur. Now when people are like, oh shit, the market or the SPY, when I said 410 should be closer to 380, it doesn't take much time. It was like a 3-day, 8% movement. So yeah, I mean, Google and Amazon definitely would be, if I was going to be technology invested, that's where I'd want to be. Again, the number one, number two players. However, if I was going to say Google's downside, I'd say about 86, possibly. Yeah, I mean, Google's really testing the support. We're looking close to a double bottom. So do I want to get involved in Google today, like this morning? Not if I'm playing options, but if I'm a long-term stock investor, yeah, I could be in Google. I could be in Amazon, just like the other stocks I mentioned. As far as the 5-day chart looks, I'm checking out volume. I mean, Google could definitely pop back to the $88 flat range. Let's see where we are this morning. It's probably there, pre-market. Yeah, it's 87.37. So same as the SPY potentially having resistance at 380 and 50 cents. Google could have resistance right around the $88 level. So you're talking about another 88 cents. You're talking about Google's up 1% pre-market. When it gets up 2%, it could struggle or something to that extent. Same with the SPY. When it gets to 380 and 50 cents, it could struggle. However, if the SPY breaks through 380, 50 cents, I told you, I think 384 is the next level up. I do think that's possible today. Again, let's realize I always go into the market without emotion. I say if it's a bullish day, I'm expecting 384.30 on the SPY as the top end. Okay. If it is a bearish day, I'm expecting 373 on the SPY on the bottom end. So with those two numbers in mind, what I would look for is we closed here. We're going to open. I'm just going to draw you guys a little sketch. Open here. There's obviously going to be a little down. I'm going to see if we turn up, or I'm going to see if we turn down and it gets worse. So, your two possible scenarios are we're going to open here. There's going to be a drop at open, as there always is, because people aren't going to believe that futures should be green. Yesterday, we had the same thing. Then the market went down. We could dip and then go higher and do steps higher. And today could be a green day, and we see 384 on the SPY. If not, then we open here, futures are up, we see a dip, and then you're like, okay, well, you're going to see that recovery. You see a partial recovery, and it dips more. That is a similar pattern that we saw yesterday. Let's remember yesterday morning, I mentioned I was going to play United Airlines. What did I do? I waited for about, I think it was 9:58 a.m. I got to the bottom of United. I thought we were going to see a curve up like this, a rebound. I got in. I took a bit of a rebound. I made about 20% and I exited out. And thank goodness I exited out when I did, because the markets dropped. So I'm either going to see one of these two patterns today. Again, benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give the market the benefit of doubt for being bullish. I'm looking at the Dow. And again, let's just look yesterday. The Dow was off 365 points. Understand, it had gone up 4 out of the last 5 days. So there has to be a little consolidation. I'm still bullish Dow stocks from where we are now. Technology, which are more speculative plays, I am more passive. If I'm going to watch technology today, the 3 indicators I'm going to watch, obviously the Qs, and then I'm going to watch Apple. Why? Because Apple makes up the majority of various indexes. When you look at the NASDAQ 100, I think it makes up somewhere between 12 and 13%. When you look at the Qs, I think it's a little over 7%. So I'm going to look at Apple. I'm going to look at Tesla, because, again, when Tesla turns around, and I mentioned this to Discord at $112, I think I was a day early because yesterday it dropped to 108. But I said Tesla is interesting to me because once it turns around, it's going to run. The same is true. And again, healthcare is not a strong stable right now. Again, they sold off on a little energy. They sold off on a little healthcare. However, when healthcare stabilizes, I'm looking at Moderna. Moderna, which is as high as $216, $217, went from $217 to $201. I think it was in the 170s yesterday. Let's just bring up Moderna. Let's see where we are. Moderna, where are you? Oh, there you are. 176.50. It was as low as 174. So let's just say 175. Understand, I know institutions, I know some big money hedge funds that were buying Moderna at 198. They were buying Moderna at 202 and 205, pushed it up to 215. I think it was as high as 218 before it came down. So yeah, I have no doubt that Moderna's going to be back in the $210 range somewhere within the first 2.5 months of 2023. So let's just see 10 weeks from now, you're talking about 30-point move, which is about 19%. So yes, I do think there are stocks that will move in the first quarter of next year and move substantially. However, nothing goes straight up. So if you get any spikes in whatever stocks you're looking for, make sure it plays out. You get a spike, it goes higher, great, but make sure you have an exit strategy. It doesn't hurt to exit a position, and then when it rescinds, you can re-enter this same position. Please, everybody, if you like what I'm doing in the morning, please give me a thumbs up or make a comment on the side. YouTube is all analytics. If you'd like to join our Discord and you like the top flow chart or any of the net flow or algo flows or bullseye trades or unusual activities or golden sweeps or any of that good information, the same information that the successful traders use. You're following someone on Webull, Moomoo, Twitter. They're not just eyeballing the charts. They actually have the data and analytics, and they understand whether there's going to be bullish divergence, which means the stock price might be down here, but the algorithms are telling you the stock price should be up here, meaning they generally meet up. When you have bearish divergence, the stock price is up here, the algos are saying it should come down here, and they usually meet up somewhere in the middle, so the stock price will fall. That's why it's bearish divergence, stock price coming down, bullish divergence, stock price going up. Let's see. Here's a question right here. What is the best way of buying the Dow Jones for swing trading? Okay, so let's just understand. If you're buying it for a long-term investment, you would dollar cost average, which means even if you're a light trader, it means every week you're going to put $100 into the DJI or an ETF that's related to the DJI. So that would be dollar cost averaging, $100 a week. End of the year, you're $5,200 in. It doesn't really matter to you if it goes up or down that week because, again, it's a long-term investment. As far as buying the Dow Jones for swing trading, it's like the swing trading for anything, any ETF, any stocks, any options that we play. You're looking for the best entry. If your entry sucks, even if you're right about it, and again, I've been a victim of this. I'll show you guys something like this. I'll enter something like here, right? So we get something going down and I'm like, oh, it's going to pop back up. Here's a good entry. It's just above the bottom and then it drops lower. And by the end of the day, it's higher. But if my entry is here and we drop another few percent before we go up, my entry sucks. If my entry sucks, my trade is going to be bad. So the best thing to suggest to you guys for anybody that's swinging a trade is patience. Patience, have a strategy. Make sure you draw out your trend lines. Your trend lines is when you look at the market and you go and you use the trend lines so that you can get entry towards the bottom end. Again, if you buy in over here, you still have more downside before the potential upside. So again, you're looking for the bottom end of the trend line. With that said, I'm going to head over to Discord right now. I appreciate everybody hanging with me this morning. Be back tomorrow morning. And then again, Happy New Year's, everybody. Be safe, be healthy, and I'll see you guys later.